You weren't born lacking confidence. You were taught to doubt yourself. Somewhere between childhood and adulthood, someone convinced you to shrink, to second-guess, to stay quiet, to dim your light. But confidence is not something you wait for. It's something you build, brick by brick, word by word, action by action. Dale Carnegie knew that self-confidence comes from connection, first with yourself, then with the world. You gain it by doing the thing you fear, by speaking when it's easier to stay silent, by showing up even when you feel small. Subscribe to our channel if you're ready to master your mind, and tell us, where are you watching from? Listen carefully. The greatest lie ever told is that some people are born confident and others are not. That confidence is a gift handed out at birth to the lucky few, while the rest of us fumble through life second-guessing every move. This is nonsense. Pure nonsense. Confidence is not inherited. It's not in your DNA. It's not something you either have or you don't. Confidence is built, constructed, forged in the fire of daily action and deliberate practice. Every confident person you admire started exactly where you are right now, uncertain, questioning, maybe even afraid. But here's what they discovered that you must understand today. Confidence comes from competence, and competence comes from repetition. You don't wake up one morning suddenly believing in yourself. You earn that belief through small victories, accumulated over time, stacked like bricks in a foundation that becomes unshakable. Think about learning to ride a bicycle. You didn't mount that bike with natural confidence. You wobbled. You fell. You scraped your knees. But with each attempt, with each small success, balancing for 3 seconds, then 5, then pedaling 10 feet, you built the evidence that you could do it. Your confidence grew because your competence grew. The same principle applies to every area of your life. Want confidence in public speaking? You don't find it in a book or a meditation. You find it by speaking publicly, over and over. Each time you survive the experience, each time you deliver a message and see heads nodding in agreement, you add another brick to your confidence foundation. Here's what most people don't understand. They wait for confidence to arrive before they take action. They say, "I'll speak up when I feel more confident," or "I'll pursue that opportunity when I believe in myself more." This is backwards thinking. Action creates confidence, not the other way around. I've seen this truth demonstrated thousands of times. The shy clerk who forces herself to greet customers with genuine warmth discovers she's naturally good with people. The nervous manager who starts speaking up in meetings realizes his ideas have value. The hesitant entrepreneur who takes that first scary step finds the courage to take 10 more. Every small action you take in the direction of your fear builds your confidence account. Every time you do something slightly uncomfortable and survive, no, thrive, you prove to yourself that you're more capable than you believed. This is how confidence is manufactured, not through positive thinking alone, but through positive action. But let me ask you this. What evidence are you currently collecting about yourself? Are you gathering proof of your limitations or proof of your capabilities? Because every day, through your choices and actions, you're building a case for who you are. Make sure it's the case you want to live with. The confident person you want to become already exists inside you. But that person emerges only through deliberate practice, through doing the thing you fear until fear becomes familiarity, through speaking when you'd rather stay silent, through showing up when you'd rather hide. Start today, start small, but start. Take one action that makes you slightly uncomfortable. Have that conversation you've been avoiding. Ask that question you've been holding back. Volunteer for that project that intimidates you. Each small step forward is a deposit in your confidence bank account. Remember this truth and carry it with you. You are not waiting to become confident. You are becoming confident right now through every brave choice you make, every fear you face, every action you take despite the trembling in your voice. Confidence is not a destination you arrive at. It's a muscle you strengthen with use. Your confidence is under construction every single day. The only question is whether you're going to be the architect or wait for someone else to build it for you. You are living a lie, not a lie you created, but a lie that was planted in your mind, so early and so persistently that you mistake it for truth. Someone convinced you that you're not good enough, that you don't have what it takes, that you should be grateful for whatever scraps of success come your way. This lie didn't appear overnight. It was installed through 1,000 small moments. A teacher who said you weren't college material. A parent who compared you to your more successful sibling. A boss who overlooked you for promotion after promotion. Friends who dismissed your dreams as unrealistic. Each comment, each dismissal, each moment of being ignored added another layer to the false story about who you are. But here's what they never told you. Those people who shaped your self-image, they were operating from their own limitations, their own fears, their own small thinking. The teacher who said you weren't smart enough may have been protecting herself from the effort of actually teaching you. The parent who favored your sibling may have been projecting their own unfulfilled ambitions. The boss who passed you over may have been threatened by your potential. You accepted their verdict as truth because they had authority, because they were older, more experienced, in positions of power. But authority doesn't equal accuracy. Position doesn't equal perception. Just because someone can influence your life doesn't mean they can accurately assess your potential. The most damaging lies are the ones we tell ourselves. The internal voice that says you're not smart enough, not talented, enough, not worthy enough. This voice sounds like you, so you trust it, but it's not you. It's the accumulated weight of every doubt that was ever planted in your mind by people who didn't see your true value. Here's what most people don't understand. Your identity is not fixed. It's not set in stone by your past experiences or other people's opinions. Your identity is a choice you make every single day through your thoughts, your words, and your actions. You can rewrite the story of who you are starting right now. But let me ask you this. If you discovered that everything you believed about your limitations was based on false information, what would you do differently? How would you show up to the world if you knew that your potential was far greater than anyone ever told you? The truth is this. You have been systematically underestimating yourself. You have been living below your capabilities because you accepted someone else's assessment of your worth. You have been playing small because you were taught that big dreams are for other people. I want you to consider a radical possibility. What if everything they told you about your limitations was wrong? What if the voice in your head that says you can't succeed is lying? What if you have been holding yourself back based on outdated, inaccurate information about who you are and what you're capable of? The confident person you want to become is not someone you need to create from scratch. That person already exists beneath the layers of false beliefs that have been piled on top of your true self. Your job is not to build a new identity. Your job is to excavate the real you that has been buried under years of other people's small thinking. Start by questioning everything you believe about your limitations. Where did those beliefs come from? Who first told you that you weren't good enough? What evidence do you actually have that supports these limiting beliefs? You'll find that most of your self-doubt is based on the opinions of people who never truly knew you or saw your potential. Replace those old lies with new truths. You are more capable than you've been told. You are more talented than you've been led to believe. You are more worthy of success than anyone ever made you feel. These aren't empty affirmations. These are facts that have been obscured by years of false programming. The lie you've been told about yourself has an expiration date. Today, right now. You don't have to carry those limiting beliefs for one more day. You can choose to see yourself through new eyes, your own eyes, not the distorted vision of people who couldn't see your true worth. Your real identity is waiting to be claimed. The confident, capable, worthy person you truly are is ready to step forward. But first, you must stop believing the lie that you're anything less than extraordinary. Fear is not your enemy. Fear is your compass. It points directly toward the thing you need to do most. The thing that will transform you, the thing that will build the confidence you're desperately seeking. Yet most people treat fear like a stop sign instead of what it really is, a roadmap to growth. You want to know the secret that separates confident people from everyone else? They feel the fear and do it anyway. They don't wait for courage to arrive. They don't postpone action until they feel ready. They understand a fundamental truth that most people never learn. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is action. In the presence of fear, every person you admire, every leader you respect, every success story you've heard started with someone doing the thing they were afraid to do. The entrepreneur who was terrified of rejection made that first sales call anyway. The speaker who was paralyzed by stage fright stepped onto that platform anyway. The writer who feared criticism published their work anyway. Here's what they discovered: that you must understand. Fear shrinks when you face it. It grows when you avoid it. Every time you run from what scares you, you give fear more power over your life. Every time you take action despite the fear, you reclaim that power for yourself. But let me ask you this: what would you attempt if you knew you could not fail? What dreams would you pursue if fear wasn't holding you back? What conversations would you have? What risks would you take? The distance between where you are and where you want to be is measured not in miles or years, but in the fears you're willing to face. Your brain is wired to keep you safe, not to make you successful. It will manufacture 1,000 reasons why you shouldn't take that risk, shouldn't have that conversation, shouldn't pursue that opportunity. Your brain sees change as danger and will work overtime to keep you exactly where you are, even if where you are is making you miserable. This is why most people live lives of quiet desperation. They listen to the voice of fear instead of the voice of possibility. They choose comfort over growth, safety over success, the familiar over the extraordinary. They let fear make their decisions for them, and then wonder why their lives never change. The thing you fear most is probably the thing you need to do most. That difficult conversation you've been avoiding, have it. That business idea you've been sitting on, start it. That skill you've been afraid to learn, begin today. That person you've been wanting to approach, walk up to them. Here's what most people don't understand. The anticipation of doing something scary is always worse than actually doing it. Your imagination creates catastrophic scenarios that rarely match reality. You rehearse failure, rejection, and humiliation in vivid detail, but these mental movies are almost never accurate previews of what actually happens. I've seen this pattern thousands of times. The person who spends weeks agonizing over a difficult conversation discovers it takes 5 minutes and improves their relationship. The entrepreneur who fears starting a business finds that the first step is just filling out a form. The job seeker who's terrified of interviews realizes that most interviewers are just regular people trying to solve a problem. Fear loses its power when exposed to reality, but it grows stronger in the darkness of your imagination. The only way to defeat fear is to drag it into the light of action. Do the thing you're afraid to do, and watch fear transform from a monster into a paper tiger. Start small if you must, but start. If you're afraid of public speaking, don't begin with a keynote address. Start by asking a question in a meeting. If you're afraid of rejection, don't start by proposing to your crush. Start by asking for a small favor from a stranger. Build your courage muscle gradually but consistently. Each time you do something that scares you and survive, you prove to yourself that you're braver than you thought. You collect evidence of your own courage. You build a track record of facing fear and winning. This becomes the foundation of unshakable confidence. Remember this truth: the thing you fear is not as powerful as the person you become by facing it. Your fear is temporary. Your growth is permanent. Your discomfort is momentary. Your confidence is lasting. Confidence is not built in isolation. It's forged in the fire of human connection. Every meaningful relationship you build, every genuine conversation you have, every moment you truly connect with another person adds strength to your sense of self-worth. This is why the most confident people are often the most connected people. You see, confidence and connection feed each other. The more you connect with others, the more confident you become. The more confident you become, the easier it is to connect. But someone has to break the cycle of isolation that keeps most people trapped in self-doubt. That someone is you, most. People approach human connection backwards. They wait until they feel confident before they reach out to others. They rehearse conversations in their heads, trying to find the perfect words, the right moment, the ideal circumstances. Meanwhile, opportunities for connection pass them by every single day. Here's what they don't understand. Connection creates confidence, not the other way around. Every time you show genuine interest in another person, every time you ask a thoughtful question, every time you listen with your full attention, you're building your confidence muscle. You're proving to yourself that you have something valuable to offer. The secret to powerful human connection is surprisingly simple. Stop trying to be interesting and start being interested. Stop thinking about what you're going to say next and start focusing on what the other person is actually saying. Stop performing and start participating. Stop broadcasting and start listening. When you show genuine interest in another person, something magical happens. They feel valued. They feel seen. They feel important. And here's the beautiful truth. When you make others feel good about themselves, they associate that good feeling with you. This is how influence is built. This is how relationships are forged. This is how confidence is created. But let me ask you this. When was the last time you had a conversation where you were completely focused on the other person? When did you last ask a question because you genuinely wanted to know the answer, not because you were waiting for your turn to talk? When did you last listen with the intention to understand rather than to respond? Most conversations are just two people taking turns talking about themselves, two monologues disguised as dialogue, two people waiting for the other to stop talking so they can share their own story. This isn't connection. This is parallel self-absorption. Real connection happens when you become genuinely curious about another person's experience. When you ask about their challenges, their dreams, their fears, their victories, when you remember the details they share and follow up in future conversations, when you show that you see them as more than just an audience for your own story. Here's what most people don't understand. Everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Everyone has struggles, dreams, fears, and hopes. Everyone wants to feel understood, appreciated, and valued. When you approach others with this understanding, when you seek to learn their story rather than tell your own, you become someone people want to be around. The person who asks thoughtful questions is more memorable than the person who gives impressive answers. The person who remembers your name and uses it is more influential than the person who talks about their achievements. The person who shows genuine interest in your life is more valuable than the person who tries to impress you with their own. This is why mastering the art of human connection is the foundation of lasting confidence. When you know you can walk into any room and find common ground with anyone, when you trust your ability to make others feel comfortable, when you're confident in your capacity to build bridges between people, you carry yourself differently. Start today. In your next conversation, make it about them, not you. Ask questions that show you care about their experience. Listen to understand, not to respond. Remember what they tell you and follow up later. Show genuine interest in their world, their challenges, their aspirations. Watch what happens. Watch how people light up when they feel truly heard. Watch how they lean in when they realize you're actually listening. Watch how they remember you, seek you out, want to spend time with you. This is the power of human connection. This is how confidence is built, one genuine conversation at a time. The fastest way to appear insecure is to try too hard to appear impressive. The person who constantly talks about their achievements, name drops important connections, or steers every conversation back to their successes isn't demonstrating confidence. They're revealing their desperate need for validation. They're showing the world exactly how little they think of themselves. True confidence doesn't need to prove itself. It doesn't require an audience or applause. It doesn't demand recognition or praise. Authentic confidence is quiet, steady, and focused outward rather than inward. It seeks to understand rather than to be understood. It aims to connect rather than to impress. Here's what most people get backwards. They think confidence means having all the answers, being the smartest person in the room, or commanding attention through impressive stories and achievements. But real confidence is having the security to ask questions, to admit what you don't know, to be genuinely curious about others without needing to prove your own worth. The person who tries to impress reveals their insecurity with every boast. They're essentially saying, "Please think I'm important because I don't think I'm important." They're seeking external validation because they lack internal conviction. They're performing instead of participating, broadcasting instead of connecting. But the person who seeks to connect operates from a completely different place. They're secure enough in their own worth that they don't need to prove it to others. They can afford to be interested because they're not desperately trying to be interesting. They can listen because they're not frantically rehearsing what to say next. This shift from impressing to connecting changes everything. When you stop trying to prove your worth and start recognizing the worth in others, you become magnetic. People are drawn to those who make them feel valued, understood, and appreciated. Nobody is drawn to the person who makes every conversation about themselves. But let me ask you this. In your last 10 conversations, how many were focused on learning about the other person versus showcasing yourself? How often did you ask follow-up questions that showed genuine interest versus waiting for your turn to share a related story about yourself? Be honest about the answer. The irony is that when you stop trying to impress people, you actually become more impressive. When you focus on making others feel important, you become important to them. When you seek to understand rather than to be understood, people find you more interesting than if you spent the entire conversation talking about yourself. This is because everyone's favorite subject is themselves. Everyone wants to feel heard, understood, and valued. When you give people the gift of your full attention, when you ask questions that show you care about their experience, when you remember details from previous conversations, you become someone special in their lives. The person who remembers that you're worried about your mother's health and asks about it weeks later is more memorable than the person who tells you about their promotion. The person who asks thoughtful questions about your challenges is more valuable than the person who offers unsolicited advice about their expertise. The person who celebrates your victories is more appreciated than the person who tries to top your story with their own. Here's what most people don't understand. Influence isn't built through impressive monologues. It's built through meaningful dialogue. Leadership isn't demonstrated by having all the answers. It's shown by asking the right questions. Confidence isn't proven by talking about your achievements. It's revealed by your genuine interest in others' experiences. This doesn't mean you never share about yourself. It doesn't mean you hide your accomplishments or downplay your expertise. It means you share authentically when appropriate, not desperately when seeking validation. It means you contribute to conversations rather than dominating them. It means you offer value rather than demanding attention. Start practicing this shift today. In your next conversation, make it your goal to learn 3 new things about the other person. Ask questions that go beyond surface level. Show genuine curiosity about their world, their challenges, their dreams. Listen with the intention to understand, not to respond with your own story. Watch what happens. Watch how people respond when they feel truly seen and heard. Watch how they light up when someone shows genuine interest in their life. Watch how they remember you, seek you out, want to spend more time with you. This is the paradox of true confidence. The less you try to prove your worth, the more valuable you become. The less you focus on impressing others, the more impressive you appear. The more you seek to connect rather than to impress, the more people are genuinely impressed by who you are. The most important conversation you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. Every single day, from the moment you wake up until you fall asleep, you're engaged in constant dialogue with your own mind. This internal conversation shapes everything: how you feel, how you act, how you show up to the world, and ultimately, how the world responds to you. Most people are completely unaware of this inner dialogue. They let their minds run on autopilot, recycling the same self-defeating thoughts day after day, year after year. They accept their internal critic as the voice of truth, never questioning whether that voice is helping or hurting them. They live their entire lives as prisoners of their own negative self-talk. But here's what confident people understand that others don't. The voice in your head is not you. It's programming. It's the accumulated weight of every criticism, every doubt, every limiting belief that was ever planted in your mind. You can change that programming. You can rewrite that script. You can choose what voice gets to speak in your head. Right now, pay attention to how you talk to yourself. What's the tone? Is it encouraging or critical? Supportive or harsh? Compassionate or cruel? Would you talk to your best friend the way you talk to yourself? Would you accept from others the kind of treatment you give yourself in your own mind? Most people would never dream of speaking to another person the way they speak to themselves. They wouldn't call their friend stupid for making a mistake. They wouldn't tell their colleague they're worthless after a failure. They wouldn't constantly remind their family members of their past mistakes. Yet they do all of this to themselves every single day without even noticing. This internal abuse has to stop. Today, right now, because the way you talk to yourself becomes the way you show up in the world. If you're constantly telling yourself you're not good enough, you'll act like someone who's not good enough. If you're always focusing on your failures, you'll approach new opportunities expecting to fail. If you're perpetually criticizing yourself, you'll lack the confidence to take risks. But let me ask you this: what would change in your life if you became your own best friend instead of your own worst enemy? What would you attempt if your inner voice was encouraging instead of discouraging? How would you show up if the voice in your head was supporting your dreams instead of sabotaging them? The mirror test is simple but powerful. Every morning, look yourself in the eye and speak to yourself the way you would speak to someone you truly care about. Be kind, be encouraging, be supportive, acknowledge your efforts, celebrate your progress, and forgive your mistakes. Treat yourself with the same compassion you'd show a good friend. This isn't about lying to yourself or ignoring areas that need improvement. It's about changing the tone of your internal dialogue from cruel to kind, from harsh to helpful, from critical to constructive. You can acknowledge mistakes without calling yourself stupid. You can recognize areas for growth without declaring yourself worthless. You can be honest about challenges without being brutal about your character. Here's what most people don't understand. Your subconscious mind doesn't distinguish between what you say about yourself and what others say about you. It doesn't know the difference between internal criticism and external criticism. When you constantly tell yourself you're not good enough, your subconscious accepts this as fact and works to make it true in your life. But the reverse is also true. When you consistently speak to yourself with kindness and encouragement, when you acknowledge your worth and celebrate your efforts, your subconscious begins to accept this positive programming. It starts looking for evidence to support this new, better story about who you are. Start monitoring your self-talk today. Catch yourself when the internal critic starts its familiar routine. Challenge those negative thoughts. Ask yourself, is this helpful? Is this true? Is this the way I would speak to someone I care about? If the answer is no, consciously choose a different response. Replace "I'm so stupid" with "I made a mistake and I can learn from it." Replace "I always mess things up" with "This didn't go as planned, but I'll do better next time." Replace "I'm not good enough" with "I'm learning and growing every day." Small changes in your self-talk create massive changes in your confidence. Remember this truth: you become what you repeatedly tell yourself you are. Choose those words wisely. Choose them kindly. Choose them as if your life depends on it, because it does. Your voice doesn't have to be steady for your words to have power. Your hands don't have to be still for your actions to have impact. Your heart doesn't have to be calm for your courage to be real. Some of the most important words ever spoken were delivered by people whose voices were shaking with fear, uncertainty, or emotion. Confidence is not the absence of nervousness. It's speaking up despite the nervousness. It's contributing your voice to the conversation even when you're not sure how it will be received. It's sharing your thoughts even when you're afraid they might be wrong. It's participating even when you don't feel ready. Most people wait for the perfect moment to speak up. They wait until they have all the facts, until they're completely certain, until they feel totally confident. Meanwhile, conversations happen without them. Decisions are made without their input. Opportunities pass them by while they're still, rehearsing what they might say. Here's what they don't understand. There is no perfect moment. There is no complete certainty. There is no total confidence before you speak. Confidence comes from speaking, not before speaking. You build your voice by using it, not by waiting until you feel ready to use it. The person who speaks with a shaking voice but contributes something valuable is more courageous than the person who remains silent with steady hands. The employee who raises a concern in a meeting despite their nervousness shows more leadership than the one who complains about problems privately but says nothing publicly. The individual who asks a question, even though they're afraid it might sound stupid, often asks the question everyone else was wondering about, but was too afraid to voice. Every time you speak when it would be easier to stay silent, you're making a deposit in your confidence account. Every time you contribute to a conversation despite your nervousness, you're proving to yourself that your voice matters. Every time you share your thoughts, even when your heart is racing, you're building the muscle of courage. But let me ask you this. How many times have you stayed silent when you had something to contribute? How many meetings have you sat through without speaking up? How many conversations have you participated in only as an observer? How many opportunities have you missed because you were waiting to feel more confident? The irony is that most people are far more focused on their own nervousness than anyone else is. While you're worried about your shaking voice, others are listening to your words. While you're concerned about your racing heart, they're considering your ideas. While you're anxious about how you sound, they're evaluating what you're saying. Your nervousness is far more obvious to you than it is to others. What feels like overwhelming anxiety on the inside often appears as simply being thoughtful or passionate on the outside. What feels like stumbling over words often comes across as being genuine and authentic. What feels like weakness often appears as courage to those watching. Here's what confident people know that others don't. They feel the same nervousness, the same uncertainty, the same fear of judgment. The difference is they speak anyway. They contribute anyway. They participate anyway. They've learned that courage is not the absence of fear, but action in the presence of fear. Start small if you need to, but start speaking up. Ask a question in your next meeting. Share an opinion in your next conversation. Contribute an idea in your next brainstorming session. Don't wait until you feel completely confident. Speak now while your voice is still shaking, and watch your confidence grow with use. Remember that your perspective is unique. Your experience is valuable. Your insights matter. The world needs to hear what you have to say, not someday when you feel ready, but today while the conversation is happening. Your voice, even when it shakes, carries weight because it carries your truth. Each time you speak despite your fear, you prove to yourself that you can handle whatever response comes. You build evidence that your voice has value. You create a track record of courage that becomes the foundation of unshakable confidence. The person you want to become is not someone who never feels nervous about speaking up. It's someone who speaks up despite feeling nervous. That person is not waiting to be discovered. That person is waiting to be unleashed by your willingness to speak, even when your voice shakes. Presence is power. It's the difference between people who enter a room and disappear into the background and those who enter a room and somehow make it feel different. It's the quality that makes others lean in when you speak, pay attention when you're quiet, and remember you long after you've left. Most people confuse presence with volume. They think being present means talking the loudest, taking up the most space, or demanding the most attention. But true presence is the opposite. It's being so grounded in yourself, so comfortable in your own skin, so centered in the moment that others naturally gravitate toward your calm confidence. Presence begins with being fully where you are, not thinking about your next meeting while you're in this conversation, not planning your response while the other person is still talking, not checking your phone while someone is sharing something important with you. Presence is the gift of your complete attention in this moment, with this person in this situation. Here's what most people don't understand. When you're truly present, you become magnetic. People feel it when you're fully engaged with them. They sense when you're completely focused on the conversation. They know when you're genuinely interested in what they're saying, versus when you're just waiting for your turn to talk. This complete presence creates a rare experience in our distracted world. Most people are so busy thinking about what they're going to say next, what happened earlier, or what's coming up later, that they never fully engage with what's happening right now. When you show up differently, when you give someone your full presence, you stand out immediately. But presence isn't just about others, it's about you. When you're fully present, you're operating from your strongest position. You're accessing all of your intelligence, all of your intuition, all of your emotional awareness. You're not scattered across past regrets and future worries. You're gathered, focused, and powerful in this moment. Watch people who command natural respect and you'll notice something. They don't rush their words. They don't fidget with nervousness. They don't constantly check their devices or look around the room for someone more important to talk to. They settle into each interaction with full attention and genuine interest. But let me ask you this. When was the last time you were completely present in a conversation? When did you last give someone your full, undivided attention without thinking about anything else? When did you last listen so intently that you forgot about yourself entirely? Presence is a skill you can develop. It starts with your breath. When you feel scattered or nervous, return to your breathing. Deep, slow breaths anchor you in your body and in the moment. They calm your nervous system and center your attention. They remind you that right here, right now, you are safe and capable. Presence also comes from your posture. Stand or sit as if you belong exactly where you are. Don't slouch with insecurity or puff up with false bravado. Find the balanced position that says you're comfortable in your own skin. Plant your feet firmly on the ground. Relax your shoulders. Open your chest. This isn't about dominance, it's about groundedness. Most importantly, presence comes from your attention. When someone is speaking to you, listen, as if their words are the most important thing in the world at that moment. Don't plan your response. Don't judge what they're saying. Don't compare their experience to your own. Just listen with your whole being and watch how powerfully they respond to being truly heard. This quality of presence creates instant connection and respect. People feel valued when you give them your complete attention. They feel important when you're fully engaged with their thoughts and feelings. They remember the person who made them feel seen and heard in a world where most people are too distracted. To really connect, start practicing presence today. In your next conversation, put away all distractions. Look the person in the eye. Listen not just to their words, but to the emotions behind the words. Notice their body language. Pay attention to what they're really trying to communicate. Be completely there. This is how you develop the kind of presence that draws people to you. Not through demanding attention, but through giving it. Not through trying to impress, but through being impressed by others. Not through performing, but through participating fully in each moment as it unfolds. Remember this truth. Presence is not something you have, it's something you practice. And the more you practice being fully present, the more naturally powerful and confident you become. Your words are not just communication. They are creation. Every word you speak, every phrase you choose, every sentence you construct is actively shaping your reality. The language you use doesn't just describe your world, it creates your world. This is why confident people speak differently than insecure people. They've learned the language of belief. Listen to how insecure people talk. They hedge their statements with uncertainty. I think maybe I might be able to. I'm not sure, but perhaps I could be wrong. But they qualify their expertise before they share it. They apologize for their opinions before they give them. They diminish their accomplishments before they mention them. This language of doubt becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you speak with uncertainty, others hear uncertainty. When you qualify everything you say, others question your expertise. When you apologize for your thoughts before sharing them, others assume your thoughts aren't worth hearing. Your words teach people how to treat you. But confident people speak the language of certainty, not arrogance, not blind stubbornness, but clear, direct, confident communication. They say, I will, instead of, I'll try. They say, I know, instead of, I think. They say, here's what I recommend, instead of, maybe you could consider this. Doesn't mean confident people claim to know everything or never admit uncertainty. It means they speak with conviction about what they do know. They own their expertise. They stand behind their recommendations. They communicate their thoughts without apologizing for having them. Here's what most people don't understand. Uncertain language creates uncertain results. When you say you'll try to do something, you're giving yourself permission to fail. When you say you might be able to help, you're suggesting you probably can't. When you ask, does that make sense? After every statement, you're teaching others to doubt your clarity. But let me ask you this. How often do you undermine your own credibility with weak language? How often do you say just when you mean something important? How often do you say sorry when you haven't done anything wrong? How often do you turn statements into questions by ending them with uncertain inflection? The language of belief starts with eliminating weak words from your vocabulary. Stop saying just when you're asking for something important. I just wanted to diminishes the value of what you're requesting. Stop saying sorry when you haven't done anything wrong. Sorry to bother you, but suggests that what you're about to say isn't worth the interruption. Replace uncertain language with confident language. Instead of, I think I can help you, say, I can help you. Instead of, I might have an idea, say, I have an idea. Instead of, I'll try to get that done, say, I'll get that done. This isn't about making promises you can't keep. It's about communicating with certainty about your intentions and capabilities. Pay attention to how you end your sentences. Confident people make statements. Insecure people turn statements into questions through their inflection. The meeting is at 3 sounds different than the meeting is at 3. The first communicates certainty. The second communicates doubt about your own information. Your internal language is even more important than your external language. The words you use in your own mind shape your beliefs about yourself and your capabilities. If you constantly tell yourself, I can't, I'm not good enough, or I don't know how, you're programming your mind for failure. Start speaking to yourself with the same confidence you want to project to the world. Instead of, I can't do this, say, I'm learning how to do this. Instead of, I'm not good enough, say, I'm getting better every day. Instead of, I don't know, say, I'll figure it out. This shift in language creates a shift in mindset. When you consistently use the language of belief, you start to believe what you're saying. When you speak with certainty, you start to feel certain. When you communicate with confidence, you start to embody confidence. Remember this truth. Your words have power, not just over others, but over yourself. Choose them carefully. Choose them confidently. Choose them as if your success depends on it, because it does. Speak the language of belief and watch belief become your reality. Every interaction you have is an opportunity to build confidence. Every handshake, every conversation, every email, every phone call, every moment you engage with another human being is a chance to practice the skills that create unshakable self-belief. But most people waste these opportunities because they don't see them for what they really are: training sessions for confidence. You interact with dozens of people every single day: the cashier at the grocery store, your colleagues at work, the person who serves your coffee, your family members, strangers in elevators. Each of these interactions is a laboratory where you can experiment with new behaviors, practice confident communication, and build evidence of your own social competence. The problem is that most people approach these interactions on autopilot. They go through the motions without intention. They miss the training opportunities right in front of them. They treat routine interactions as inconveniences rather than chances to grow stronger. But here's what confident people understand: every interaction matters. Not because every person you meet will change your life, but because every interaction shapes who you become. Each conversation is practice for the conversations that will change your life. Each small social success builds the foundation for larger social triumphs. Start with the simplest interactions. Make eye contact with the person serving your coffee and genuinely thank them. Remember the name of the security guard at your office and greet them personally. Ask the cashier at the grocery store how their day is going and actually listen to their answer. These small moments of genuine human connection build your confidence muscle. Here's what most people don't understand: confidence isn't built through grand gestures. It's built through consistent small actions that prove to yourself that you can connect with others, that you can make people feel good, that you have something valuable to offer in even the briefest interactions. But let me ask you this: in your last 10 interactions with strangers, how many times did you make genuine eye contact? How many times did you smile authentically? How many times did you go beyond the minimum required politeness to create a moment of real human connection? The beauty of using everyday interactions to build confidence is that the stakes are low. If a conversation with a stranger doesn't go perfectly, there are no lasting consequences. You can practice new behaviors, try different approaches, experiment with your communication style without risking important relationships or opportunities. Use these low-stakes interactions to practice high-stakes skills. Practice maintaining eye contact during conversations. Practice asking follow-up questions that show genuine interest. Practice speaking clearly and confidently. Practice listening without planning your response. Practice being fully present with each person you encounter. Each successful interaction, no matter how small, proves to yourself that you can connect with others. The barista who smiles when you remember their name. The colleague who appreciates your thoughtful question. The stranger who responds warmly to your genuine greeting. These positive responses become evidence that you have social value. This evidence accumulates over time. With each positive interaction, you build a track record of social success. You prove to yourself that people enjoy talking with you, that you can make others feel good, that you have the ability to connect across different types of relationships and situations. But confidence-building interactions aren't just about being pleasant. They're about being authentic. They're about showing genuine interest in others rather than trying to impress them. They're about contributing positively to each person's day without expecting anything in return. Start paying attention to how people respond to you when you're fully present and genuinely interested in them. Notice how conversations flow more naturally when you're focused on them rather than on yourself. Observe how people light up when they feel truly seen and heard by you. Transform routine interactions into confidence-building opportunities. When someone asks, "How are you?" give a genuine answer and ask about them in return. When you're waiting in line, strike up a friendly conversation with the person next to you. When you're in a meeting, ask a thoughtful question that shows you're engaged. Remember this truth: confidence is not a personality trait you're born with. It's a skill you develop through practice. And the best practice happens in the everyday interactions that most people take for granted. Every conversation is training. Every interaction is preparation. Every moment of genuine human connection is building the confident person you're becoming. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's the pathway to success. But most people treat failure like a shameful secret to be hidden rather than a valuable teacher to be celebrated. They fail quietly, apologetically, defensively. They make excuses, blame circumstances, or pretend it didn't happen. This approach turns failure from a learning opportunity into a confidence destroyer. Confident people fail differently. They fail loud and proud, not because they enjoy failing, but because they understand that failure is feedback. It's information about what works and what doesn't. It's data about how to improve. It's proof that they're pushing boundaries, taking risks, and attempting things that matter. Here's what most people don't understand about failure. The goal is not to avoid it. The goal is to fail fast, fail forward, and fail better. Every failure teaches you something that success cannot. Every mistake reveals weaknesses you didn't know you had. Every setback shows you what you need to strengthen. But society has taught you to fear failure, to see it as evidence of inadequacy rather than proof of courage, to treat mistakes as character flaws rather than learning opportunities, to hide your failures instead of studying them. This fear of failure keeps more people trapped in mediocrity than any other single factor. The person who never fails is the person who never tries anything challenging. They stay in their comfort zone, avoid risks, and settle for the safety of the familiar. They may avoid the pain of failure, but they also miss the growth that comes from it. They trade the possibility of extraordinary success for the guarantee of ordinary results. But let me ask you this. What would you attempt if you knew that failure was not only acceptable, but valuable? What risks would you take if you saw every setback as a step forward? What dreams would you pursue if you understood that failure is not falling down but staying down? The key to failing loud and proud is changing your relationship with failure itself. Stop seeing failure as evidence that you're not good enough, and start seeing it as evidence that you're brave enough to try. Stop treating mistakes as reasons to quit, and start treating them as reasons to improve. Stop hiding your failures and start sharing them as part of your growth story. This doesn't mean being reckless or careless. It means being willing to risk failure in pursuit of something meaningful. It means taking calculated risks that could lead to significant rewards. It means understanding that the biggest risk is not taking any risks at all. Successful people fail more than unsuccessful people, not because they're less competent, but because they attempt more, they start more businesses, they try more strategies, they take more shots. They understand that success and failure are not opposites, but partners in the dance of achievement. Every entrepreneur has failed businesses. Every athlete has lost competitions. Every artist has created work that missed the mark. Every leader has made decisions that didn't work out. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't the presence or absence of failure. It's how they respond to failure when it happens. Start reframing your failures as investments in your education. That business that didn't work out, expensive tuition in entrepreneurship, that relationship that ended badly, valuable lessons in human psychology, that project that missed the deadline, important insights into planning and execution. Every failure is a deposit in your wisdom account. Share your failures as openly as you share your successes. Talk about what you learned from them. Discuss how they made you stronger, smarter, or more resilient. Show others that failure is not something to be ashamed of, but something to be proud of when it comes from attempting something worthwhile. This approach to failure creates unshakable confidence because it removes the fear that paralyzes most people. When you're not afraid of failing, you're free to attempt great things. When you see failure as feedback rather than defeat, you become unstoppable. When you fail loud and proud, You inspire others to take their own brave steps. Remember this. Truth. Your failures do not define you. Your response to failure defines you. The person who learns from every setback, grows from every mistake, and gets stronger from every fall is building the kind of confidence that nothing can shake. That person is not afraid of failure because they know that every failure is just another stepping stone to success. Most people shrink when the spotlight finds them. They become self-conscious, awkward, and uncomfortable the moment they realize others are watching. They apologize for taking up space, minimize their presence, and try to deflect attention as quickly as possible. But confident people understand a fundamental truth. Being watched is not a burden to bear, but a platform to embrace. Attention is not your enemy. It's your opportunity. Every time eyes turn toward you, every time you become the focus of a room, every time people listen to what you have to say, you have a chance to add value, share something meaningful, and demonstrate who you are. Yet, most people waste these moments because they're too busy being uncomfortable to be effective. The fear of being watched keeps more people trapped in mediocrity than almost any other fear. They avoid speaking up in meetings because everyone will. Look at them. They don't pursue leadership roles because leaders are always under scrutiny. They don't share their ideas because sharing means being seen. They choose invisibility over influence because invisibility feels safer. But here's what they don't understand. Visibility is the price of impact. If you want to influence others, you must be willing to be seen by others. If you want to lead, you must be comfortable being watched. If you want to matter, you must be willing to be noticed. There is no such thing as invisible influence. The person who gets promoted is the person others notice. The individual who gets chosen for important projects is the one who stands out. The leader who gets followed is the one who's willing to be visible. The entrepreneur who succeeds is the one who's comfortable being watched by customers, investors, and competitors. But let me ask you this. How many opportunities have you missed because you were afraid of being noticed? How many times have you stayed quiet when you had something valuable to contribute? How many moments have you let pass because you didn't want to be the center of attention? Getting comfortable being watched starts with understanding what people are actually watching for. They're not looking for perfection. They're looking for authenticity. They're not expecting you to be flawless. They're hoping you'll be genuine. They're not judging your every move. They're deciding whether they can trust you, learn from you, or connect with you. The irony is that most people are so focused on their own performance that they're not critically analyzing yours. While you're worried about how you look, they're thinking about how they look. While you're concerned about your mistakes, they're concerned about their own. The spotlight you think is blinding others is often barely noticeable to them. This is why confident people can thrive under attention. They understand that being watched is not about being perfect. It's about being present. It's not about having all the answers. It's about being willing to engage with the questions. It's not about never making mistakes. It's about handling mistakes with grace when they happen. Start practicing being visible in low-stakes situations. Volunteer to present at your next team meeting. Ask a question in a large group setting. Share your opinion when others are listening. Take the lead on a project that requires coordination with multiple people. Each time you step into visibility, you build your comfort with attention. Pay attention to what happens when you're the focus of a room. Notice that people are generally supportive, not critical. Observe that most interactions go better than you expected. Recognize that being watched often leads to being heard. Being heard leads to being valued, and being valued leads to being chosen for bigger opportunities. Practice owning the space you occupy. When you're presenting, don't apologize for taking time. When you're sharing an idea, don't minimize its importance. When you're leading a discussion, don't deflect attention to others unless it serves the group. Take up the space you've been given with confidence and purpose. Remember that attention is a gift others are giving you. When people watch you, listen to you or focus on you, They're investing their most valuable resource, their time and attention. Honor that gift by being fully present, genuinely yourself, and focused on adding value to their experience. The spotlight is not something to fear. It's something to embrace. It's your chance to demonstrate your competence, share your perspective, and contribute something meaningful to the world. The person who's comfortable being watched is the person who gets to influence what others see, think, and feel. Get comfortable being watched. Because visibility is the first step toward impact, and impact is what confidence in action looks like. Charm is not magic. It's not a mysterious quality that some people are born with and others lack forever. Charm is courage. It's the courage to be genuinely interested in others, the courage to make eye contact even when you feel nervous, the courage to smile first, speak first, extend your hand first, the courage to risk rejection in service of connection. Most people think charm is about being smooth, witty, or impressive. They imagine charming people as naturally confident extroverts who never feel awkward or uncertain, but real charm has nothing to do with perfection and everything to do with authenticity. It's not about having all the right words. It's about having the right intentions. The most charming people you know are not the ones who try hardest to be charming. They're the ones who are most genuinely interested in others. They ask better questions because they truly want to know the answers. They listen more intently because they care about what you're saying. They remember details about your life because those details matter to them. This genuine interest requires courage because it means focusing on others instead of yourself. It means being curious about their experiences instead of planning what impressive thing you'll say next. It means risking that they might not be equally interested in you and choosing to be interested anyway. Here's what most people don't understand about charm. It's not about being the most interesting person in the room. It's about being the most interested person in the room. It's not about commanding attention. It's about giving attention. It's not about being impressive. It's about being impressed by others. The courage to make genuine eye contact changes everything. Most people look at you while planning what they'll say next, or while judging what you're saying, or while thinking about something completely unrelated. But when someone looks at you with genuine interest, when their eyes show they're completely present with you, it creates an instant connection that feels rare and valuable. But let me ask you this. When was the last time you made real eye contact with someone? Not just looking in their direction while they talked, but truly seeing them, being present with them, showing through your eyes that they have your complete attention? This kind of eye contact requires courage because it's intimate and real. The courage to smile first transforms interactions. Most people wait for others to smile before they smile back. They protect themselves by waiting to see if warmth will be reciprocated before they offer it. But charming people smile first. They take the social risk of offering warmth without guarantee that it will be returned. This doesn't mean forcing fake smiles or grinning inappropriately. It means allowing your genuine appreciation for others to show in your expression. It means letting your face reflect the truth that you're happy to be talking with them, that you find them interesting, that you're glad they're sharing their time with you. The courage to be vulnerable in conversation creates deeper connections. While others are trying to appear perfect, charming people are willing to admit they don't know something, to ask for help, to share their own struggles or uncertainties. This vulnerability doesn't make them seem weak. It makes them seem human. Most people think vulnerability will damage their image or reduce their influence. But the opposite is true. When you're appropriately vulnerable, when you share your authentic self instead of a perfect facade, people feel safer being themselves with you. They trust you more because you've shown that you're real. The courage to take social risks sets charming people apart. They'll start conversations with strangers. They'll ask personal questions when appropriate. They'll share stories that matter to them. They'll disagree respectfully when they have different opinions. They'll risk awkwardness in pursuit of authenticity. These social risks often lead to social rewards. The stranger becomes a friend. The personal question leads to a meaningful conversation. The authentic story creates a lasting impression. The respectful disagreement earns respect, but none of these rewards are possible without the courage to take the initial risk. Start practicing the courage that creates charm. In your next conversation, be the first to smile. Make genuine eye contact. Ask a question because you really want to know the answer, not because you're supposed to ask questions. Share something real about yourself instead of just surface-level pleasantries. Notice how people respond when you approach them with genuine interest and authentic warmth. Watch how conversations become more meaningful when you have the courage to go beyond small talk. Observe how people remember you when you've shown the courage to truly see them. Remember this truth. Charm is not about being perfect, smooth, or impressive. It's about being brave enough to connect, genuine enough to be real, and interested enough to focus on others. The courage to be authentically yourself while genuinely caring about others is the foundation of irresistible charm. Your body speaks before you say a word. It announces your confidence level, your comfort in the situation, and your belief in your own worth before you even open your mouth. People make decisions about you within seconds of seeing you, and those decisions are based primarily on how you carry yourself. This is why learning to stand like you belong is one of the most powerful confidence skills you can master. Most people betray their insecurity through their posture. They slouch to make themselves smaller. They cross their arms to create barriers. They avoid eye contact to prevent connection. They fidget to release nervous energy. They apologize with their body language before they've even done anything wrong. Every gesture screams, "I don't think I should be here." But confident people move through the world differently. They take up the space they're entitled to without apology. They stand tall, not to intimidate others, but to honor themselves. They make eye contact not to challenge, but to connect. They move with purpose, speak with their hands, and plant their feet firmly on the ground. This isn't about dominance or aggression. It's about dignity and self-respect. It's about moving through the world as if you have every right to be exactly where you are, doing exactly what you're doing. Because you do have that right. You belong in every room you enter, at every table where you sit, in every conversation you join. Here's what most people don't understand. Your body language doesn't just communicate your confidence to others, it creates your confidence for yourself. When you stand tall, you feel taller. When you make eye contact, you feel more connected. When you take up appropriate space, you feel more worthy of that space. Your physiology directly influences your psychology, but let me ask you this. How do you typically enter a room? Do you slip in quietly, hoping not to be noticed? Do you scan for the safest place to stand where you won't be in anyone's way? Do you immediately look for something to do with your hands, a wall to lean against, or a reason to check your phone? The way you enter a room sets the tone for every interaction that follows. When you walk in like you belong there, people assume you belong there. When you carry yourself with quiet confidence, others treat you with respect. When you take up space appropriately, people make space for you in conversations and decisions. Start with your posture. Stand as if an invisible string is pulling you up from the crown of your head. Imagine your spine as a strong, flexible tree trunk that supports you without being rigid. Let your shoulders relax down and back, opening your chest without puffing it out. This isn't a military stance, it's a position of natural dignity. Plant your feet firmly on the ground, about shoulder width apart. Feel your connection to the earth beneath you. This grounding creates stability not just in your body, but in your presence. People sense when someone is solidly grounded versus when they're tentative and unstable. Use your hands to support your words, not to betray your nervousness. Gesture naturally as you speak, allowing your hands to emphasize your points. When you're listening, let your hands rest comfortably at your sides or in front of you. Avoid crossing your arms, which creates barriers, or hiding your hands in your pockets, which suggests you have something to hide. Eye contact is perhaps the most powerful element of confident body language. Look people in the eye when you're speaking to them and when they're speaking to you. This doesn't mean staring intensely, which can be uncomfortable. It means maintaining natural, genuine eye contact that shows you're present and engaged. When you walk, move with purpose. Even if you're not sure exactly where you're going, move as if you are. Take steps that are neither rushed nor hesitant. Walk as if you have somewhere important to be and something valuable to contribute when you get there. Your handshake communicates volumes about your confidence. Make it firm without being crushing, brief without being abrupt, and accompanied by genuine eye contact. A confident handshake says, "I'm glad to meet you, I respect you, and I respect myself." Practice these elements of confident body language in low-stakes situations first. Stand tall while waiting in line. Make eye contact with the person serving your coffee. Walk with purpose through your office hallways. Use natural gestures in casual conversations. Build these habits when the pressure is low so they're natural when the stakes are high. Remember that confident body language is not about intimidating others or taking up more space than you need. It's about claiming the space you deserve and using your physical presence to support clear, honest communication. It's about showing respect for yourself and for others through how you carry yourself. Your body is speaking whether you're conscious of it or not. Make sure it's saying what you want it to say. Stand like you belong, move like you matter, and carry yourself like the confident person you're becoming. Comparison is the thief of confidence. Every time you measure yourself against someone else, you rob yourself of the satisfaction that comes from your own progress. Every time you focus on what others have that you lack, you steal energy from building what you want. Every time you play the comparison game, you lose, because the game itself is rigged against your happiness. The comparison trap is everywhere. Social media feeds filled with highlight reels, colleagues who seem to have it all figured out, friends who appear more successful, more attractive, more confident than you feel. The world constantly presents you with evidence that others are doing better, achieving more, living the life you wish you had. But here's what you don't see behind those carefully curated images: the struggle, the doubt, the failures, the work, the sacrifice, the moments of uncertainty that everyone experiences but few people share. You're comparing your behind-the-scenes reality to everyone else's highlight reel, and that's not a fair comparison. More importantly, it's not a useful comparison. Even if someone else is genuinely doing better than you in some area, so what? Their success doesn't diminish your worth. Their achievements don't reduce your potential. Their journey has nothing to do with your journey except in the lessons. You might learn from observing it. The comparison game is unwinnable because there will always be someone who has more money, more talent, more opportunities, more luck than you. If you base your confidence on being better than others, you'll always find someone who threatens that confidence. If you measure your worth by relative success, you'll never have enough success to feel truly worthy. But let me ask you this: how much time do you spend thinking about what others have that you don't? How often do you scroll through social media and feel worse about your own life? How frequently do you minimize your own achievements because they don't match someone else's? Confident people understand a fundamental truth: your only meaningful competition is who you were yesterday. The only comparison that matters is between where you are now and where you were last month, last year, 5 years ago. That's the only contest where you have complete control over the outcome. When you shift from external comparison to internals comparison, everything changes. Instead of asking, "Am I doing better than them?" you ask, "Am I doing better than I was?" Instead of measuring yourself against others' achievements, you measure yourself against your own potential. Instead of competing with the world, you compete with your former self. This shift doesn't mean you stop learning from others or being inspired by their success. It means you use their achievements as motivation rather than measurement. You study their strategies instead of envying their results. You let their success expand your sense of what's possible rather than diminish your sense of what you've accomplished. The antidote to comparison is contribution. When you focus on what you can give rather than what you can get, when you concentrate on how you can help rather than how you measure up, when you prioritize adding value rather than accumulating status, the comparison game loses its power over you. This is because contribution connects you to purpose, and purpose is more powerful than comparison. When you know why you're doing what you're doing, when you're clear about the impact you want to make, when you're focused on the difference you want to create, other people's success becomes inspiring rather than intimidating. Start tracking your own progress instead of monitoring others' highlights. Keep a record of your improvements, your learning, your growth. Celebrate the skills you've developed, the challenges you've overcome, the goals you've achieved. Build evidence of your own advancement rather than collecting evidence of others' advantages. Practice gratitude for what you have instead of focusing on what you lack. Every day, identify 3 things you're grateful for in your own life. Notice the progress you've made, the opportunities you have, the strengths you possess. Train your attention to see abundance rather than scarcity. Use others' success as data, not judgment. When you see someone achieving what you want to achieve, study their approach. Learn from their strategies. Understand their process. Let their success teach you rather than torture you. Transform envy into education. Remember that success is not a limited resource. Someone else winning doesn't mean you're losing. Someone else achieving their dreams doesn't reduce your chances of achieving yours. There's enough success, happiness, and fulfillment for everyone, including you. The comparison game ends when you decide to stop playing. When you focus on your own journey, celebrate your own progress, and contribute your own unique value to the world. Your confidence doesn't depend on being better than others. It depends on being better than you used to be. Confidence is magnetic. It draws opportunities like metal filings to a magnet. People trust the confident. They promote them. They invest in them. They choose them for important projects. They recommend them for better positions. They want to work with them, learn from them, and follow them. This is not because confident people are necessarily more talented, but because they're more trustworthy. Trust is the currency of opportunity, and confidence is the most visible form of self-trust. When you demonstrate confidence in yourself, others feel safe placing their confidence in you. When you believe in your abilities, others find it easier to believe in them too. When you trust yourself to handle challenges, others trust you with bigger challenges. Think about the people who get chosen for leadership roles, promoted to higher positions, or selected for important projects. They're not always the most technically skilled people available. They're the people who inspire confidence in others. They're the ones who seem capable of handling responsibility, managing pressure, and delivering results. This is because confidence signals competence. When you speak with certainty about your capabilities, when you take on challenges without excessive worry, when you handle setbacks with resilience, you're demonstrating that you can be counted on. You're showing that you have the internal resources to handle whatever comes your way. But here's what most people don't understand. Opportunities don't just come to you because you're confident. They come to you because confident people create more opportunities. They speak up in meetings and get noticed. They volunteer for challenging projects and prove their capabilities. They network naturally because they're comfortable meeting new people. They take calculated risks that lead to unexpected rewards. Confident people also recognize opportunities that insecure people miss. While insecure people are focused on protecting themselves from failure, confident people are scanning for possibilities. While insecure people are worried about whether they're qualified, confident people are considering how they can become qualified. While insecure people wait for perfect conditions, confident people act on good enough conditions. But let me ask you this. How many opportunities have you missed because you didn't think you were ready? How many times have you waited for someone to invite you instead of inviting yourself? How many possibilities have you overlooked because you were focused on your limitations rather than your potential? The relationship between confidence and opportunity creates a powerful upward spiral. Confidence attracts opportunities. Taking advantage of opportunities builds more confidence. More confidence attracts bigger opportunities. Taking bigger opportunities builds even stronger confidence. Each success reinforces your belief in yourself and makes you more attractive to others who control access to opportunities. This is why building confidence is one of the most practical investments you can make in your career and your life. Every dollar spent on developing confidence, every hour invested in building self-belief, every effort made to strengthen your sense of self-worth pays dividends in the form of better opportunities, stronger relationships, and greater influence. Start by becoming someone others can count on. Keep your commitments, even small ones. Deliver what you promise when you promised it. Take responsibility for your mistakes and learn from them quickly. Show up consistently and contribute reliably. Build a reputation as someone who can be trusted with responsibility. Develop the habit of speaking up constructively. Share ideas. In meetings, ask thoughtful questions that move conversations forward. Volunteer for projects that stretch your abilities. Take initiative instead of waiting for instructions. Show that you're someone who adds value, not just someone who follows. Directions network with the confidence that you have something to offer, not just something to gain. Approach networking as an opportunity to help others, share insights, and build genuine relationships. Be interested in others' challenges and generous with your own knowledge and connections. This approach makes networking feel natural rather than transactional. Take calculated risks that demonstrate your judgment and courage, not reckless risks that could damage your reputation, but thoughtful risks that show you're willing to step outside your comfort zone in service of better results. Each successful risk builds your track record and increases others' confidence in your decision-making abilities. Position yourself as a problem solver rather than a problem identifier. When you see challenges, come prepared with potential solutions. When you identify obstacles, also suggest ways around them. Be the person who makes things easier for others, not harder. This makes you valuable and memorable. Remember that confidence attracts opportunities, but preparation captures them. Build your skills, expand your knowledge, and develop your capabilities so that when opportunity knocks, you're ready to answer. Confidence gets you noticed, but competence gets you chosen. The opportunities you want are looking for you just as much as you're looking for them. Companies need confident employees. Leaders need confident team members. Projects need confident contributors. Your job is to become so confident in your own worth that these opportunities can't help but find you. The most important relationship you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. The most critical reputation you'll ever build is the one you build with yourself. The most valuable trust you'll ever earn is your own. Yet most people spend their entire lives seeking approval from others while completely neglecting the approval of the person whose opinion matters most, themselves. You make promises to yourself every single day. You commit to waking up early, eating better, exercising regularly, working on that project, making that call, having that difficult conversation. But how often do you actually keep those promises? How reliable are you when it comes to following through on commitments you've made to yourself? Your self-confidence is directly proportional to your self-trust. And your self-trust is built through self-integrity, doing what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it, especially when no one else is watching. Every promise you keep to yourself is a deposit in your confidence account. Every commitment you break is a withdrawal. Here's what most people don't understand. You're always watching yourself. Your subconscious mind is keeping track of every promise you make and every promise you break. When you consistently follow through on your commitments to yourself, you build evidence that you're someone who can be trusted. When you consistently break your own promises, you build evidence that you're unreliable. This internal evidence shapes how you see yourself and how confidently you move through the world. If you can't trust yourself to wake up when you set your alarm, How can you trust yourself to handle bigger challenges? If you can't rely on yourself to complete small projects, how can you believe in your ability to achieve significant goals? But let me ask you this. What promises have you made to yourself that you haven't kept? What commitments have you broken that only you know about? How has this pattern of self-betrayal affected your confidence in your own capabilities? Building a reputation with yourself starts with making smaller promises and keeping them consistently. Don't commit to running a marathon if you haven't run around the block. Don't promise to write a book if you haven't written a page. Start with commitments you can realistically keep and build your track record of self-reliability gradually. This isn't about perfection. It's about integrity. It's about becoming someone you can count on, especially when things get difficult. It's about proving to yourself through your actions that you have the discipline, determination, and follow-through to achieve what you set out to achieve. The beauty of building self-trust is that it creates a foundation of confidence that no one can shake. When you know you can rely on yourself, when you trust your own commitment to your goals, when you have evidence of your own reliability, external criticism loses its power over you. You don't need others to believe in you because you believe in yourself. Start by auditing your current relationship with yourself. What promises are you currently breaking? What commitments are you consistently avoiding? What patterns of self-betrayal are undermining your confidence? Be honest about where you stand so you can improve from where you are. Make fewer promises to yourself, but keep them religiously. It's better to make one small commitment and honor it completely than to make 10 grand commitments and break them all. Build your self-trust slowly but surely through consistent follow-through on realistic promises. Create accountability systems that help you keep your word to yourself. Write down your commitments, track your progress, set up environmental cues that remind you of your promises. Find ways to make keeping your word easier and breaking your word harder. Celebrate when you keep promises to yourself, especially difficult ones. Acknowledge the effort it took. Recognize the growth it represents. Build positive associations with following through on your commitments. Make keeping your word to yourself feel rewarding, not just obligatory. When you do break a promise to yourself, learn from it without destroying yourself over it. Analyze what went wrong. Adjust your approach. Make a more realistic commitment. Going forward, treat setbacks as information, not evidence of your unworthiness. The goal is not to become perfect. The goal is to become reliable, to become someone you can count on, to build such a strong track record of self-integrity that you approach challenges with quiet confidence, knowing that you have the internal resources to handle whatever comes your way. This internal confidence radiates outward. When you trust yourself completely, others sense that self-assurance and trust you more readily. When you have a solid reputation with yourself, building a solid reputation with others becomes natural and effortless. Remember this truth. You don't need the world's approval if you have your own. You don't need others to believe in you if you believe in yourself. You don't need external validation if you've built unshakable internal trust. The most powerful confidence comes from knowing that you can rely on yourself no matter what challenges you face. The life you want is not waiting for you to become worthy of it. The success you dream about is not waiting for you to prove you deserve it. The confidence you seek is not waiting for you to earn it through years of struggle and self-doubt. Everything you want is available to you right now if you're willing to walk like it's already yours. This is not about arrogance or entitlement. This is about stepping into the truth of who you really are. You were not born to live a small life. You were not created to apologize for your existence. You were not designed to shrink, to settle, or to accept less than what you truly want. You were meant to walk through this world with the quiet confidence that comes from knowing your own worth. Most people live their entire lives waiting for permission. Permission to speak up. Permission to take up space. Permission to pursue their dreams. Permission to be confident. But confidence is not something you wait for. It's something you claim. It's not something you earn through external validation. It's something you own through internal conviction. The person you want to become is not some future version of yourself that you have to slowly evolve into over years of gradual improvement. That person exists right now beneath the layers of doubt, fear, and conditioning that have convinced you to be less than you are. Your job is not to create that confident person. Your job is to stop hiding them. Every day you delay stepping into your full power is a day you rob from the world. Your ideas matter. Your voice matters. Your presence matters. Your contribution matters. Not someday when you feel ready, but today, while the world needs what you have to offer. Not eventually when you've overcome all your fears, but now, while your courage can inspire others to find their own. But let me ask you this. What would you do today if you knew you couldn't fail? What risks would you take if fear wasn't holding you back? What conversations would you have if you trusted your own voice? What dreams would you pursue if you believed they were meant for you? The distance between where you are and where you want to be is not measured in time, skills, or resources. It's measured in belief. The moment you truly believe that you deserve the life you want, that you're capable of achieving your goals, that you belong in the rooms where decisions are made, everything changes. Walk like you already have the job you want. Speak like you already possess the authority you seek. Move like you already belong in the circles you want to join. Act like you already are the person you want to become. This is not fake it until you make it. This is recognize it until you realize it. Your confidence is not dependent on external circumstances. It's not contingent on others' approval. It's not waiting for the perfect moment or the ideal conditions. Your confidence is available to you right now, in this moment, regardless of what's happening around you or what challenges you're facing. The world is waiting for you to show up fully. Not the diminished version of yourself that doubts your worth, not the hesitant version that asks for permission, not the apologetic version that minimizes your value. The world is waiting for the complete, confident, powerful version of yourself that you've been keeping in hiding. Stop waiting for confidence to arrive and start acting confidently today. Stop hoping others will recognize your worth and start recognizing it yourself. Stop seeking permission to be great and start giving yourself permission to be exactly who you were meant to be. Take up the space you deserve. Speak with the authority you possess. Move with the purpose you feel. Contribute with the conviction you have. Love with the openness you're capable of. Live with the boldness you were born with. The life you want is not in the future. It's available right now to the person who has the courage to claim it. The success you dream about belongs to the person who walks like they already own it. The confidence you seek is the birthright of the person who refuses to live small any longer. You already have what it takes. You always have. The question is not whether you're capable, worthy, or ready. The question is whether you're willing to stop hiding and start shining. Whether you're ready to stop apologizing for your existence and start celebrating it. Whether you're prepared to stop waiting for your life to begin and start living it fully right now. Walk like it's already yours, because it is. Speak like you already belong, because you do. Move like you're already the person you want to become, because you are. The only thing standing between you and the confident, successful, fulfilled life you want is your willingness to claim it. You already have what it takes. Now, go prove it. If this message spoke to you, subscribe for more powerful mindset content that will transform how you see yourself and move through the world. Let us know in the comments what part hit you the hardest. What truth did you need to hear today? Remember, confidence is not something you wait for. It's something you step into today, right now. You already have what it takes. Now, go prove it.